Looking back, I can't tell if I was blind, stupid, or just desperate to believe in something that was never real. For years of sharing the same bed, the same inside jokes, the same routine of lazy Sundays and late-night takeout. For years of watching her sip that absurd coffee order. For pumps of vanilla, 2 espresso shots, oat milk, caramel drizzle, while rolling her eyes at my obsession with 90s cartoons. For years of pretending I didn't care about anniversaries, while secretly remembering every single one. And now, here I was, sitting in my car, gripping an engagement ring that suddenly felt like the biggest mistake of my life. We met at a housewarming party. The kind of sticky, crowded mess where everyone was either sweating or pretending they weren't. My best friend Jay had dragged me there, insisting I needed to get out more. She had arrived with her best friend Riley, the designated party instigator. We found ourselves next to each other at the makeshift bar, which was really just a cluttered counter with half-empty liquor bottles. Some guy tried to hand us IPAs, and we both recoiled in unison, exchanging a knowing glance before sharing a quiet laugh. That night, we talked about everything: old cartoons, terrible drinks, what we'd do if we won the lottery. Her answer? Travel the world. Mine? Buy a ranch and rescue dogs. Dating her had been easy. No stupid games, no second-guessing texts. Just us. After 10 months, we made it official. After a year and a half, we moved in together. By year 2, we adopted Max, our high-energy rescue dog. By year 4, I was ready to marry her. No flash mobs, no skywriting. Just a quiet proposal on a morning hike, ring in my pocket, nerves in my stomach. Will you marry me? I asked. She didn't hesitate. She grinned and said, yes. That was last winter. The wedding was set for late August. I thought everything was falling into place. Looking back, I see the signs now. 2 months ago, they were barely there. A slight hesitation when I brought up the wedding. A half-second pause before she answered, followed by a quick nod or a subject change. Then the passive comments. Do we really need to invite everyone? Weddings are expensive. Are we sure we want something big? I brushed it off as stress. Then the late replies. The one-word texts. The growing distance. She started spending more time with Riley, going out late. Yes, she valued her space, but something was off. Even when she was home, she was distracted, still affectionate, still checking her phone constantly. I told myself it didn't matter. Then came last Friday's dinner. Jay had suggested I do something special to shake off the tension. Remind her why she said yes, man. I made reservations at Romano's, an upscale Italian place she had been dying to try. I even stocked the fridge with her favorite oat milk caramel drink. But the second we sat down, I felt it. She was distracted, barely talking, smiling at something on her phone. I tried to engage her, bring up honeymoon plans. Then she said it. I'm not sure I'm ready for all this. The wedding, the honeymoon, marriage, for years together, 6 months engaged. And she wasn't sure. She brought up Riley's stories about miserable marriages, how things always fell apart after the honeymoon. She mentioned her parents' divorce. She had been thinking. I barely tasted my food after that. The drive home was silent. When we got there, I asked if she wanted to talk. She said she needed time to think. Then she curled up on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, and fell asleep, like nothing had happened. The next morning, she barely looked at me. I'm heading to Carter's bar with Riley, she muttered. I stayed home, numb, mindlessly scrolling my phone. Then a text from Aaron, one of her co-workers. Hey man, you okay? Before I could reply, my phone rang. Aaron sounded hesitant. I don't know if I should tell you this, but things got weird at the bar tonight. I braced myself. Some people were teasing her about the wedding. Asked if she was really ready to settle down. He trailed off. And my voice was tight. She laughed. Said if you were richer and hotter, she'd be excited to marry you. My blood went cold. You sure she said that? A lot of us heard it. Someone even called her out, but she just waved it off. Said it was a joke. A joke. I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. When I got home, she was passed out on the couch, blissfully unaware of the damage she had just done. The woman I trusted beyond all others. The woman I thought I'd spend forever with. And the worst part? The next morning, her mother called me, sobbing. Daniel, there's something you need to know. The words hit like a sledgehammer. There's someone else. Diane's voice was thick with guilt, like she wished she could take it back the second she said it. But it was out there now, a truth too big to ignore. I gripped the phone tighter, my knuckles turning white. Say that again. She let out a shaky breath. I didn't want to say anything until Lauren did. But I can't let you go through this blind. She's been seeing someone else. For a while. I sat there, unmoving, my mind scrambling to put the pieces together. Every hesitation, every vague excuse. Every night she was just with Riley. The missed calls, the one-word texts, the distant look in her eyes. This wasn't cold feet. This wasn't stress. This was betrayal. I swallowed hard. Ooh. Diane hesitated, and in that pause, I knew it was bad. I think it's her co-worker. Ethan. I knew the name. I had shaken his hand at an office party once, exchanged small talk while Lauren introduced us like it meant nothing. I remembered the way he looked at her when she wasn't paying attention, like he was waiting, and now I knew what for. A slow, burning rage built in my chest, coiling tighter with every second of silence between me and Diane. I could hear her breathing on the other end, like she was waiting for me to explode. But I didn't. Instead, I exhaled through my nose, forcing my voice to stay even. Thanks for telling me. Daniel, I hung up before she could finish. I sat on the couch, staring at nothing. The apartment around me suddenly felt like a crime scene. Her stuff was everywhere. Her shoes by the door, her sweater draped over the couch, the framed photo of us from our first trip together still hanging on the wall. My stomach twisted. I had spent years believing we were building something, that we were solid, that what we had was real. And the whole time, she was entertaining someone else behind my back. I grabbed my keys and walked out before I could talk myself out of it. I didn't know where I was driving at first. I barely saw the streets, barely registered the stoplights. My hands were gripping the steering wheel, so hard my fingers ached. Then I saw it. The neon glow of Carter's bar. She's here. I already knew it before I even pulled into the lot. This was where she and Riley always went. And if she was with him, I needed to see it for myself. The parking lot was packed. I found a spot, killed the engine, and sat there for a second, my pulse hammering in my ears. Then I got out. I walked through the doors like a man walking into a battlefield. Music was blaring. The smell of beer and cheap perfume clung to the air. Groups of people laughed and drank like nothing in the world could touch them. And then I saw her, tucked into a corner booth. With him, Ethan. I recognized him instantly. The smug grin, the cocky way he leaned in too close. His arm rested casually on the back of the booth behind her. Lauren was smiling, looking at him the way she used to look at me. My jaw locked, my hands curled into fists at my sides. She threw us away for that? I could feel the rage rising, the ugly need to walk over and make a scene. To let everyone in this bar know what kind of woman she was. But I didn't. I stood there, watching, memorizing the moment, branding it into my mind so I'd never, ever forget. And then I turned around and walked out. She wasn't worth it. I drove back in silence. When I got home, I didn't even bother turning on the lights. I just stood there in the doorway, staring at the apartment we shared, the couch where we spent Sunday mornings, the kitchen where she used to dance while waiting for the coffee to brew, the stupid throw pillows she insisted we needed. Every inch of this place was soaked in memories, but none of them mattered anymore. I couldn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat at the table with a glass of whiskey and thought about every moment leading up to this, the years I had given her, the plans we made, the life I thought we were building, and how easily she had burned it all down. By the time the sun came up, my decision was made. She wasn't going to come home and break up with me, like she was doing me some kind of favor. I was going to beat her to it. By noon, I was gone. Everything I owned was packed up, every last trace of me erased from the apartment. I didn't want to hear her excuses. I didn't want to see her fake tears. I didn't even want to speak her name. I left one thing behind. A note, not a speech, not a long-winded letter. Just 6 words, written in my sharpest, coldest handwriting. You threw us away. I'm done. Then I walked out the door for the last time, and I never looked back. I thought leaving would feel like a victory. That walking out before she could break up with me, taking control of the situation, and vanishing from her life would bring some kind of satisfaction. But the truth is, the silence was suffocating. That first night, I didn't sleep. I booked a cheap motel on the other side of town, one of those places with flickering neon signs, and a bed that felt like it was stuffed with bricks. I lay there in the dark, staring at the cracked ceiling, my mind replaying everything. For years. For years of believing in us. For years of loyalty. For years of thinking I mattered. Now, she was probably waking up next to him. I turned over, grabbed my phone, and stared at our old messages. I don't know why I did it. Maybe some part of me wanted to find the exact moment when she started slipping away, as if I could pinpoint the crack before the dam broke. There were thousands of texts, inside jokes, dumb conversations at 2 a.m., photos from vacations, weekend trips, nights in. A whole life packed into a digital thread. And none of it meant a damn thing. I clenched my jaw, hovered over the chat, and without hesitation, deleted it all. Every text, every photo, every voicemail. Gone. Then I turned off my phone, closed my eyes, and waited for the pain to pass. The next few days felt like a war with myself. I kept waiting for the anger to burn out, for the bitterness to fade. But every time I thought I was over it, something pulled me back under. A stupid commercial for a vacation spot we had talked about visiting. A song playing in a grocery store that reminded me of the road trips we used to take. A couple laughing at a restaurant, their hands intertwined. So damn oblivious of the fact that one day, one of them might wake up and decide the other isn't enough anymore. I hated it. I hated that she still had that much space in my head. So I did the only thing I could do. I wiped my hands clean of her. I changed my number. Blocked her on everything. When Jay texted me saying Lauren was trying to reach out, I sent one reply. I don't care. Tell her not to bother. I left the apartment behind. 2. I didn't even try to fight for it. Why would I? That place wasn't my home anymore. It was just a graveyard of broken promises. I crashed at my brother Jason for a while. He didn't ask questions, didn't press for details. He just handed me a beer, patted my shoulder, and said, "Stay as long as you need." That was the closest thing to comfort I had felt in weeks. A week later, I was sitting on Jason's porch when I got the text from her mother. "Diane, I don't know if I should be reaching out, but I need you to know I'm so sorry for what she did to you. You didn't deserve this. If you ever want to talk, I'm here." I stared at it for a long time. Diane had always been kind to me. In some ways, I think she saw more of me than Lauren ever did. Maybe that's why she was the one who told me the truth, instead of letting Lauren keep lying to my face. But what was I supposed to say? That her daughter was selfish? That she was a liar? That I wished I could erase the last 4 years? Instead of replying, I put my phone down. Some things don't need closure. 3 weeks passed. I got my own place, a small, one-bedroom apartment across town. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No framed photos of us. No stupid throw pillows she insisted on buying. No reminders of the life she threw away. I focused on me. I hit the gym like it owed me something. Spent my mornings running until my lungs burned, my evenings lifting until my arms ached. It wasn't about revenge or looking better or making her regret anything. It was about control. Because for the first time in a long time, I was the only one deciding what happened next. And then, one night, 3 weeks after I left, I ran into someone I hadn't seen in years. It was at a bar downtown. I was drinking with some guys from work when I heard a voice behind me. "Damn, you clean up nice." I turned, and there she was. Samantha. We had a thing back in college. It wasn't serious, just one of those short-lived flings that burned hot and ended fast. But now she was standing in front of me, drink in hand, her eyes scanning me like she was seeing something she liked. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something else. Not anger, not regret, just the realization that maybe, just maybe, there was life after Lauren. The thing about moving on is that it doesn't happen all at once. It's not some dramatic, life-changing moment where you wake up, stretch, and suddenly stop caring about the person who wrecked you. It's a slow process, one that drags, stumbles, and sometimes even pulls you backward. For weeks after I walked away from Lauren, I still found myself waking up in the middle of the night, instinctively reaching for someone who wasn't there. I still felt that phantom ache, that deep-down frustration that no amount of lifting weights or running miles could burn away. But the difference was, I didn't let it stop me. I had work to do. On myself, on my future, on reclaiming the years I wasted on a woman who never truly saw me the way I saw her. So, I built myself from the ground up. Samantha and I started hanging out casually at first. She wasn't some rebound, and I wasn't looking to dive into another relationship. But she was familiar, easy to be around, and most importantly, she wasn't her. We grabbed drinks a few times, laughed about dumb college memories, and swapped war stories about how life had kicked our asses since we last saw each other. You know, she said one night, tipping her beer in my direction, I remember when you and Lauren first got together. Everyone thought you two were solid. I scoffed. Yeah, well, everyone was wrong. Samantha didn't press. She didn't ask for details. She just nodded like she understood something deeper than words could explain. And that was enough. I wasn't trying to replace Lauren. I was just remembering what it felt like to enjoy someone's company again, without the weight of betrayal pressing down on my chest. And just as I started feeling like myself again, like maybe I was finally shaking off the wreckage of the past, Lauren decided she wasn't done ruining my life. It started with a text, a random, out-of-nowhere message from a number I didn't recognize, because I had deleted hers. Lauren, hey, can we talk? I stared at the screen for a long minute, debating whether to respond at all. Then a second text popped up. Lauren, I know I messed up. I need to see you. Please. Oh, now she needs to see me? I could feel the anger creeping back in, slow and steady, like a match being struck. The audacity of it, the sheer nerve. She had made her choice. She had laughed at the idea of marrying me, thrown herself at another man, and never once tried to stop me when I walked out her life. And now, she suddenly had something to say? I wasn't stupid. I knew exactly why she was texting. Things with Ethan probably weren't working out the way she thought they would. Maybe she realized the grass wasn't greener, or maybe he got bored of her the way she got bored of me. Either way, it wasn't my problem. So I did the only logical thing. I ignored her, left her texts on read, and for a while that was enough, until she showed up in person. It happened on a Saturday afternoon. I had just finished a workout and was heading back to my apartment when I saw someone waiting by the entrance. Lauren. She looked different, tired, thinner, like the stress was eating her alive. But I wasn't about to pity her. Not after everything. She straightened when she saw me, her hands twisting together like she wasn't sure how to start. Daniel. I didn't stop walking. Didn't give her the satisfaction of thinking she had any power over me anymore. She stepped in front of me, blocking my way. Please, just let me talk. I exhaled sharply, shaking my head. Why? What could you possibly say that I'd care to hear? Her lip trembled, but I wasn't falling for it. Not anymore. I was an idiot, she admitted. I wasn't thinking. I got scared and I ran and I thought, she broke off, shaking her head. I thought I wanted something else. But I was wrong. I crossed my arms. So what? You realized Ethan wasn't Prince Charming after all? She flinched. It's over. Not my problem. Her eyes snapped up, desperation creeping into them. Daniel, please. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. And I know I don't deserve another chance, but I had to try. I laughed. Actually laughed. A low, bitter chuckle. You didn't make a mistake. Lauren, you made a choice. Over and over again. Her eyes filled with tears, but I felt nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Just nothing. You said if I was richer and hotter, you'd be excited to marry me. I reminded her, watching as the blood drained from her face. So why are you here? Did I magically get more attractive overnight? Hit the lottery? She shook her head, looking ashamed. That was stupid. I was drunk. I cut her off. You were honest. Silence. She swallowed hard. Do you think we could ever fix this? I stared at her for a long time. Let her feel the weight of the answer before I said it. No. A single word. Cold. Absolute. Her shoulders slumped. Her face crumpled. So that's it. I tilted my head. No, Lauren. That was at the second you threw us away. She wiped at her face, nodding like she finally understood. And maybe she did. Or maybe she was just upset she had officially lost me. Either way, I didn't stick around to find out. I stepped past her, unlocked my door, and walked inside without looking back. Because some things don't deserve a second chance. And she was one of them. People say time heals all wounds. That's a lie. Time doesn't heal anything. You do. You wake up every day and decide not to let the past choke you. You go to the gym. You focus on work. You start talking to new people. You force yourself to stop checking your phone for a message that isn't coming. You move forward, whether you feel ready or not. That's what I did. At first, it was just survival. Getting through the day without sinking into bitterness. Learning how to be alone without feeling lonely. The gym helped. Working late helped. Even the mindless routine of grocery shopping and laundry helped. But it wasn't until I found myself genuinely laughing at a dumb joke Jay made one night that I realized something. I was getting better. It wasn't about forgetting Lauren. It wasn't about revenge or proving a point. It was about reclaiming myself. And the more I did that, the less space she took up in my mind. Until one day, out of nowhere, I saw her again. It was completely random. A chilly Saturday morning, nothing special. I had just finished a run and decided to grab a coffee before heading home. Same coffee shop I'd been to a dozen times before. I was waiting at the counter when I heard a laugh. A familiar one. I turned my head slightly, and there she was, Lauren, sitting by the window, sipping one of her ridiculous oat milk caramel drinks. And she wasn't alone. Ethan was across from her. I recognized him instantly. The guy she threw me away for. The guy who had, at one point, been worth risking everything in her eyes. I watched them for a second, unnoticed. They weren't laughing together. They weren't even talking. Ethan was scrolling on his phone, barely acknowledging her. And Lauren? She was staring at the table, absently stirring her drink, her eyes empty, like someone who had lost. I should have felt something, satisfaction, anger, validation. But I didn't. I just felt indifferent, because she wasn't mine to worry about anymore. I grabbed my drink, turned toward the door, and walked out without a second thought. But right as I reached the exit, she looked up, our eyes met. For a brief second, she froze. Then, before I could step outside, she stood up, and then she was in front of me. Daniel. Her voice was quiet, hesitant, like she wasn't even sure she was allowed to say my name anymore. I didn't react, didn't flinch, just stared at her, waiting. She swallowed hard, glancing back at Ethan, who still hadn't even noticed she'd left the table. Then she turned back to me, shifting on her feet. Can we talk? I exhaled through my nose. About what? Her lips parted like she had something real to say, something important. But in the end, she just shook her head. I don't know, she admitted. I guess I just wanted to say hi. Hi. That's what she had for me? Not I'm sorry. Not I made a mistake. Not you were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I was too blind to see it. Just hi. I let the silence stretch between us. Let her feel it. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't the one grasping for words. She studied my face, waiting for me to say something. Maybe she expected me to lash out. Maybe she thought I'd be bitter, throw some clever, cutting remark her way. Or maybe she was hoping for something else. A crack, a sign that she still had some piece of me left to hold on to. She didn't. I tilted my head slightly, gave her the smallest of nods, and said, "Take care, Lauren." Then I walked past her and stepped out the door. And I never looked back. I don't know if she watched me leave. I don't know if she went back to Ethan, or if she realized, right then and there, that she had made the worst mistake of her life. And I don't care, because for the first time since this whole mess started, I was free. No more anger. No more regret. No more wondering what went wrong, what I could have done differently. She was a past. And me? I was finally moving forward.